Well, I'm from Huntsville, Alabama, which is about 3 hours due east of here, and similar kind of country like rolling hills, Appalachian foothills. Our family's been in Alabama and Huntsville about 200 years, and came here to Oxford, Mississippi to play some songs and revisit a town I hadn't been to in a while since moving here about 10 years ago almost.
And you've been on a tour recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that experience. How's that been?
It's been great. This is day 65 of tour, the last day of tour. It's taken me from starting in Alabama and going to Knoxville and Washington, D.C., New York, and then to Germany, doing a Z through Germany, and then down to Switzerland, Czech Republic, Italy, down to Naples, then up to Nice, France, to Saint Etienne, France, Netherlands, and then back to Germany, then back to New York, and New Jersey, and then up to Maine, every state in New England. Yeah, and it was a great tour. Got the chance to see a lot of things. I've never been to New England, so got to see a lot of famous authors' graves, like Henry David Thoreau, Allen Ginsberg, Jack Kerouac, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Louisa May Alcott, Emily Dickinson, and it was a fun tour. And then it continued down through Pennsylvania, through Pittsburgh, all through Ohio, and Detroit, Michigan, Jackson, Michigan, Milwaukee, down to Nashville, and then yesterday in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and then today in Oxford, Mississippi.
Wow. You've seen a lot in 65 days.
Yeah, it's
Have you slept
whirlwind.
much?
I've tried to.
Yeah.
Is this a tour you put together yourself?
Yeah, it's a completely DIY tour. Just, you know.
And how did you go about booking all these shows?
Well, it's my third tour in Europe, and I released an album on a label called Voodoo Rhythm in Switzerland in 2008, and so that tour I was helped out a good bit with the European shows, and then just going on a lot of contacts I'd made along the way, I booked this tour, and the American part was a bit of a toss-up because there'd be some days without shows and some days, you know, some days with shows, some days without, and the days without we just go camping or go see someone's grave or explore a town or just busk on the street, which is always fun. Oh, I forgot to mention we went to Montreal, which was awesome.
Nice. Gotta get Canada in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's about 3/4 original music and 1/4 traditional songs. Like, for instance, Train on the Island is a traditional song. I like it because it's kind of an obscure song because it's not just about living in a cabin on a mountain. It's has kind of a weird tale about it's kind of a murder ballad feel to it, but it's also has kind of some references to nature and Train on the Island. Like, it seems kind of like a strange idea, kind of very symbolic. I don't know too much of the history of it, but I love the tuning of it, which is only one other song on banjo I could find that has that, and it's Ramblin' Hobo, just on the Doc Watson plays. It's an open F tuning. And but besides that, my favorite songwriters are like Townes Van Zandt, and Michael Hurley, and it's got Robbie Basho and John Fahey, who's an acoustic instrumental player, and of course Doc Watson, some Bob Dylan, Neil Young, and Abner J. I've been listening to him a lot recently, and then also like to listen to a lot of folk music from around the world, like Greek folk music and Arab folk music, and just all around Cajun music.
Awesome.
And of course blues from Mississippi and folk blues and Arlo Burnside, Lightnin' Hopkins from Texas actually, but well, I got a harmonica when I was a little kid, and I just used to play around on that a lot. I never really learned any songs really, but I always loved the way it sounded. And then I inherited my mom's ukulele, and so I'd always strum on that. So that was kind of my first experience with stringed instruments. And then of course, when I was about 13, I got into punk rock and Green Day, Nirvana, and then into bands like the Wipers and Mudhoney, Minor Threat, Black Flag. And I started playing in punk bands when I was in middle school and high school, playing at people's houses and playing at DIY spaces. and slowly started getting more into acoustic music, and just really found the sound of the banjo really exciting, especially the clawhammer style, which is with your fingernail. It's kind of more of an African-based style. And got into finger picking through Mississippi John Hurt. He definitely was a big influence on that style. And just gone from there, trying to find my own style, the mix of all of it. I self-released an album in 2012 on April 5th, and it's called Psychic Death, Stick to the Shadows, and it was only on CD. And then I just recorded an album in Venice, Italy, at a studio called Outside Inside Studio with a guy named Matt Borden, who's a really amazing producer. And we recorded completely on tape, analog, and played a lot of really awesome old instruments, and got about 13 new songs recorded. And it's I don't have a title for it yet, but it's going to come out on vinyl, CD, on Voodoo Rhythm as well.
Awesome.
Hopefully in the spring.
Okay, in the spring.
Mm-hmm. I'm on Bandcamp and Facebook, and also VoodooRhythm.com. There's a little bio page and email and this sort of thing. Well, I always think of like when I try to write a song, I'm really into like Sumerian literature actually. I don't know, I always like the Epic of Gilgamesh and like the hymns of Inanna, and I always think about in Sumeria and the towns back then, they used to, every year they would recite the Epic of Gilgamesh in the street corners just aloud, and everyone just hear it, and it was kind of like the folk music of that time. And so I think literature definitely has a place with music. I think they're very similar in that sense, like it's a sort of folklore into itself. Well, I'm going to spend the spring saving up money, and then in the summer I plan on going back to Europe and doing a tour through Spain and through all through Italy and Sicily and the Balkans, and then go down to Israel for about 6 shows and then fly back. So hopefully that'll work out. And then also I plan to go to South America in the fall after that as well. Well, this past tour I played with a guy who played guitar with me named Trevor, and then I've done regional shows with a full band, but just for the sake of economy, it's usually just me by myself. You know, just guitar and a banjo and like a backpack and a roller suitcase full of records and a couple of t-shirts.
Do you like sleep out under the stars, or do you sleep in hotels?
I like to, but I mean, in Europe, you know, people are real accommodating. They give you like a place to stay and like food and all that stuff. But in America, I like to camp out because America's such a beautiful country. Like in Maine and out west and Alabama, Mississippi. My name is Andy Petty, and this has been my Oxford session.